One of the favorite parts of my day is reading emails from folks like you who have taken the leap into the Plant Strong lifestyle and are now crushing their goals. Today's note is from someone who answered a recent survey that we sent out about our Rips Big Bowl cereals. And it reads, quote, "Nothing gets me more fired up than waking up to a bowl of your cereal. I love adding in different fruits and have even tried your idea of adding grapefruit segments and was shocked how delicious it was. Thank you for creating products that make living a whole food, plant-based, oil-free, and no added sugar lifestyle that much easier. I can't wait to see what you guys create next." Well, I want you to know that I shared this note with the entire Plant Strong team because, if I'm honest, food is excruciatingly difficult. And most manufacturers literally laugh at us when we present a product that we want to make because we refuse to cut corners or add in garbage ingredients or jack up the salt, the sugar, or pour in the oil because that's just the way it's been done. But it's comments like these that get us out of bed every day, charging up that impossible hill to bring good food to people. We have so many new things in the pipeline, and I cannot wait to share them with all of you. So thanks so much to all of you for all your support. Now, let's jump into today's show.
And I think in the first 3 months, I dropped 55 pounds. And I was eating a ton. I was just eating the right things, no oil, more greens than I had ever eaten before in my life. I dropped 55 pounds the first 3 months. My blood pressure went from 156 over 110 down to 126 over 79. And my cholesterol dropped from over 400 to 199. And according to doctors now, in those little areas, I was the picture of health then, but everything kept improving. And that was after 3 months.
I'm Rip Esselstyn, and welcome to the Plant Strong podcast. The mission at Plant Strong is to further the advancement of all things within the plant-based movement. We advocate for the scientifically proven benefits of plant-based living and envision a world that universally understands, promotes, and prescribes plants as a solution to empowering your health, enhancing your performance, restoring the environment, and becoming better guardians to the animals we share this planet with. We welcome you wherever you are on your Plant Strong journey, and I hope that you enjoy the show. Hello, my Plant Strong pancakes. I'm Rip Esselstyn, and thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Plant Strong podcast. I actually chose the word pancakes on purpose because my guest today, Shane Martin, has no less than a dozen pancake recipes to choose from on his website, shaneandsimple.com. Shane is definitely a Plant Strong brother because of his passion for all things plants that is as enormous and skyrocketing as Mount Everest. Now, a Southern boy through and through, Shane was a football-loving kid, born and raised in Mississippi with stints along the way in Nashville, Georgia, and a few other areas as a musician and a music director. Now, like so many of us, life's demands ended up superseding his health, and over a span of several years, he found himself overweight, desperately out of shape, pre-diabetic, and absolutely miserable. Now, I know so many of you will be able to relate to his story because he knew he needed to make changes, but he just wasn't ready. He had all these fears of giving up the foods that he thought that he loved that clearly were killing him. And doctors gave him plenty of warnings, but most went ignored and unheeded. However, after seeing Forks Over Knives and reading the Engine to Diet book, everything changed literally in an instant. His transformational story is remarkable, and today he is the founder of the food blogging site ShaneandSimple.com. As he says, hey, I'm just your average, ordinary guy who makes plant-based cooking casual, easy, and delicious. I don't use fancy equipment, and I don't use fancy chef speak. I'm a normal dude who loves to cook and eat good food that just happens to be completely plant-based. Well, this ordinary dude has done some extraordinary things in the last few years. So let's serve into an episode with Shane Martin. So you claim to be a very kind of ordinary guy, very average, ordinary guy. But just to me, the fact that you are now, whole food, plant strong, stud man means that you're not ordinary. And somewhere along the line, you were able to open up your mind and see a new kind of paradigm for how to eat. Mm-hmm. So I'd love for you, and I want to talk some recipes with you, but before we do, tell me about what was your epiphany?
Yeah, so I didn't grow up overweight and was never considered unhealthy. I grew up in a very rural part of Mississippi, so we were always outside playing in the dirt, and I guess that's where we got a lot of our immunity. And we were athletes, most of the people in my family, and actually went to college to play football on scholarship. And I was a musician, and I did what most people did, wasn't very focused. So my mind wandered a lot. And just over the years, when I got lazy, got out of football, just started hitting the couch a lot more. And I was always a foodie. I loved to eat. So I'd hit Chinese buffets and, loved to grill and that kind of thing. And just over a period of time, it catches up with you. And I never will forget, I'd moved to Nashville. I was like 20 and I weighed 187 pounds. I went back 6 months later and I weighed 201. I thought, I still look pretty good, And by the time I got married, I was 26. I was up to 240 pounds. And then,
so that's like 60 heavier than you were. 187.
Yeah. So, fast forward a lot. I ended up leaving Nashville because I was a full-time musician, and I was actually in ministry for a while. I was a music director, and just continued to gain weight. And about 2007, we were living in Charlotte, North Carolina, and the pastor I worked for was a huge biker, biked all the time, kept really fit. He was in his mid-50s and trim and just, and he kept getting on me. He said, "You're going to have a physical." He called the doctor and told him I was coming. And he said, so I went, and my cholesterol was 399. I was pre-diabetic, heart rate through the roof. I mean, just blood pressure was I think at the time was 153 over 106 or something like that. And he sent me a letter saying, "I need to talk to you." And this was before I knew anything. To me, at the time, the idea of going vegan was everybody I knew ate granola and tofu and bark. And, they were weird people. So, because I grew up on mayonnaise, meat, and cheese, literally, that's what bologna sandwiches, that kind of thing. And so I didn't go back to the doctor because I'm like, oh, if I pretend it's not there, it doesn't exist, that kind of thing. And we had moved from Charlotte to outside of Auburn, Alabama. I had taken a job there, and I started getting staph infections really bad, and they wouldn't heal. And there was a doctor in our congregation, and she came up to me and looked at me, and I had dark circles under my eyes. She goes, "Are you urinating a lot? Do you have these?" I was like, "Yeah." She goes, "You need to go get checked. You've got full-blown diabetes." She says, "I'm looking at you. I'm telling you right now." Of course, didn't go to the doctor. And I remember waking up. I got to my heaviest and at this time we'd had 5 kids. We'd had our 5th. And my wife had always been fairly healthy, very healthy, watch what she ate and that kind of thing. And she was literally worried. And you could tell the kids were like, I remember when they started saying, Daddy looks really big right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like he snores really bad. Like you could tell they weren't secure. And I remember waking up one Sunday morning, got on the scale, and it was like 280 something pounds.
Mm.
And I looked in the mirror and I was just red and I was puffy and I was like, something's got to change. So a buddy of mine, Thad Beatty, who ended up going plant-based, we were musicians together in Nashville. He was featured on the Iron Man Facebook page, and he had dropped like 80 pounds. And I called a mutual friend and he said, man, Thad went vegan. I went, what? And I was like, nah, I don't want to go vegan. He goes, just go watch Forks Over Knives. So this was like 2 weeks before my 40th birthday back in 2013. 2 weeks before my 40th birthday. I still remember it. My wife and I sat down, watched it. And for the first time, I thought, wait a minute, I can do that. And then I saw your story because you were an athlete, because, you hear all the things. You can't eat white potatoes. You can't eat pasta. You can't get enough protein. So all of that was going through my mind. And I had family doing keto and, Atkins and all that. And so I watched it. And the very next morning I went, that's it. I went cold turkey. Like, now it was terrible the first 2 weeks because, we get in our minds that it's a whole different way of cooking or, thinking about food, but you're just really taking the crap out of the good stuff. Like, you don't eat a baked potato, but don't put butter and sour cream on it, So I went cold turkey the next day, ate salads and tofu for about the first week, and then got on the Engine 2 site, Forks Over Knives site, just started making food. And we were like, wow, this is actually like really good. And my goal in the beginning was to do this like 80-20. Yeah. And then I felt so good that I was like, I'm never going back. So and I'm a very black or white type person. I don't do moderation. So I know my weaknesses. So anyway, that's kind of the story in a nutshell. And I think in the first 3 months, I dropped 55 pounds and I was eating a ton. I was just eating the right things, no oil, more greens than I had ever eaten before in my life. I dropped 55 pounds the first 3 months. My blood pressure went from 156 over 110 down to 126 over 79. And my cholesterol dropped from over 400 to 199. And according to doctors now, in those little areas, I was the picture of health then, but everything kept improving. And that was after 3 months. And, so that's kind of my story in a nutshell.
Yeah.
But that's kind of how it was a matter of life or death at the end of the day. So.
Yeah. Well, you came a long way in a short period of time. That's impressive. And, I think in large part, that's because like you said, you see things kind of very black and white, and you're just like, okay, let's do this. Let's make this happen. And it's amazing how many times I've heard that story. Like, somebody has watched Forks Over Knives, and then all of a sudden, like, this light bulb goes on, and they're like, all right, let's do this. Right. And so tell me, so go ahead.
Well, no, I was just going to say, I think the thing that I loved about Forks Over Knives, and even what you were saying, was the thing that hit me is I'm a very opinionated person. I love debate. I love being enlightened, but I'm also a very opinionated person. And so my idea of going vegan was just, I got to be weird now. And I'm going to be sickly and all that. But the thing that I loved about Forks Over Knives, it got into some of the things about the environment and things like that, but it was all about healing yourself, because until we heal ourselves, we can't go out and heal that's outside of us. And so I love the science behind it, and just, it was about the food and getting healthy. So that's what triggered it for me. And then later on, I felt like after I took care of myself, it just enlightens you in so many other areas and makes you aware of what's going on, like in the food industry and things like that. So.
Yeah. So you've been on this glide path now since about 2013, right? And and what are the ages of your children?
So now Maddie will be 21 this June. Jonathan is 19. Macy is 15, Mackenzie's 14, and Millie Jane is 10.
All right. Wow. That's a pretty good spread you got there. And are they all along as well? Are they all
Yeah.
eating similarly?
Yes. So when we're in the house, there's no debate. My older two, I kind of, they know I'm like I said, I'm a very hardcore. I got to go one way or all in or nothing. Um, but they are predominantly plant based, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Um, now our youngest, Millie Jane, she's never been through a drive through. Like she came out of the womb eating plant based. So, um, I they're not 100%. I'd say the two oldest, but I will say when they have enough of the crap, they always call me and go, "Daddy, I'm sick again. I got to eat." It's like, and so they come back to the plants. And my son is all jacked up and
Mm-hmm.
bodybuilder now, and so he eats us out of house and home when he comes home. But in the house there's no debate, and they're adults now, so it's like they know where I stand. And like I said, they're not crazy, they're not stuffing themselves full of cheeseburgers and pizzas and stuff like that, but their friends even make it's interesting because their friends will make fun of them, like, man, y'all eat really well. Like even when they go out, they make smarter choices. So I want to be gracious where I can, and I'll win more flies with honey than vinegar.
Yep. So that's the 5 kids. What about your wife?
My wife's all in.
Wow.
She was kind of like Dr. B's wife. She was the one that Neil Bolsowitz. He was.
Yep.
I feel like our stories are very similar. Like she was never full blown plant based, but she always was fascinated before we met about food and how it interacted. And she hates Monsanto. So it was like, so she was always eating healthy, lots of greens, lots of vegetables on her plate. And when she did have chicken or something like that, after we got married, I always noticed her portions. That was more like a side than it was the main. Like her mains were the vegetables and things like that. And so I felt a little convicted eating around her a lot of the time, especially when I was chucking down a cheeseburger and she's over there and she looks like she does. And literally people were asking me, how did you marry her? Like that was, when I got to my biggest, I was like, well, I wasn't always like this, but
who's the cook in the house? Is it you, your wife?
No, it's me. I cook about 85% of the meals, I would say.
And have you always loved to cook?
Yeah. Early on when we were little, growing up in the South, it was kind of out of necessity because both parents worked, didn't make a lot of money, stayed with grandparents in the summer. And if you wanted to eat, they weren't going to get in there and make it for you. So, we were kind of, whether it was peanut butter sandwiches or something like that, you just kind of learn basic techniques. But yeah, I've always been a foodie and loved to cook and try recipes and cook things and do things like that. Like I think a lot of that just comes from being an artist, like a musician and a creative. It's the idea of putting things together and see what happens. So,
well, in looking through your Instagram channel and your website, it's very obvious that you've got some serious, chops in the kitchen. And I love your whole philosophy, which is really around, you're practical, not pretentious.
Right.
And recipes that absolutely anybody can make, and simple recipes using minimal ingredients. Right. I mean, it's a beautiful concept. But tell me, like, even more than that, I know that you're, plant based,
right,
and you're also like oil free.
Oh yeah.
But
yeah.
what are some of your other tenets in everything that you create?
So, I try to make things as whole as possible. The no oil, that's no debate. We don't even go there.
Hey, stop for a sec. Just give me a little fist bump there.
Right there.
Bam.
The only thing that I would say, like I do use a lot of tofu. I will use TVP occasionally.
I saw you like those soy curls and the beluga.
Oh man, soy curls! Woo! Oh man, soy curls were a game changer.
No, the bulgogi.
Oh yeah, the bulgogi, the Korean barbecue beef. Yeah.
Yes, the bulgogi. Yes. I haven't had soy curls in, like, I don't know, probably 12 years, and they're actually just like a whole food ingredient, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Yeah. They're just the soybean.
Yeah.
Boiled and shredded and then dried. And
Right.
the kids love those. Like, we'll make sandwiches out of those. And, you know, when we have people coming over, they think they're eating chicken. And then I tell them, you know, you're actually eating tofu, you know. But, you know, whole grains, but also I think the only place where people might say, oh, he drifts off the whole food bandwagon is occasionally I will use organic unbleached flour, like Bob's Red Mill. That's about as far out as I will get because. And
what's your philosophy with fat, like fat? Are you low fat, medium fat? How about coconut? No coconut?
No, I definitely, if you look at my recipes, like some of the crust and some of the stuff, I might have unsweetened shredded coconut. I try to be very moderate with those. Like, I love avocados, and so I love avocado sandwiches. Like, if I'm just needing some energy or, you know, I love avocados. So I don't say we are a strictly no fat at all, because we do have nuts and seeds in the house. And if my kids are going to snack, I'd rather them eat raisins and a little bit of dark chocolate and some raw nuts as opposed to a Snickers bar, you know? And so, no, we don't eliminate fat entirely, but we definitely look at it as like it's a special occasion food, you know, like if we're desserts, you know, we'll make plant-based birthday cakes, and it might have some, you know, sometimes we'll throw avocado in there to make the icing or something like that. But it's like, we don't make everyday birthday, you know? And so, because we realize you can overeat on technically a plant-based diet. And so we don't eliminate all fat, but we like coconut and things like that. But again, we try to use them fairly sparingly and filling our plates with greens and vegetables and low caloric density food.
Well, for example, I noticed, and I want to go through a bunch of recipes here. I'm going to test you to see how much you can remember a lot of these recipes.
That's great.
But like, for example, you have a chickpea curry dish.
Yes.
Right. And I love Indian fare. But you know, the thing is, a lot of these call for coconut milk.
Sure.
And so I noticed that your chickpea curry dish, you don't have coconut milk. Right. You got almond milk.
Almond milk.
Yep. And so can you tell me about that?
Yeah. So I kind of have always viewed the Shane and Simple site was an answer to, my family asked me, I'd love to do what you do, but I just don't know where to start. But I also, as a foodie, love creating dishes. That's kind of my goal. I want to create dishes that I loved in my previous life, something similar with the flavors and things like that. But how do I make it healthy? So that's the challenge for me. And when it came to curries, I'm the same way. I love Indian food. My family loves Indian food, you know, everything. And we love curry, and we love Thai food. So we love curries, period. And I do love, you know, a good like massaman curry with a thick coconut milk. I mean,
chana masala.
Chana masala. Oh my gosh, you know, or Bartha, the eggplant. I mean, it's just, but so when I was trying to figure out the curry, I thought, well, the main thing is the coconut milk that would make it super high in fat, and where that would technically still be a whole foods plant-based dish. How do I kind of cut back but keep the flavor? So with almond milk, it definitely, I thought, oh, wait a minute. You can add cornstarch and thicken it a little bit. Then you kind of get the thickness of like a coconut milk. So a lot of times we love the flavor without it thickening. So we just eat it as a soup or poured over rice. But when we started making it a little thicker, we would do like a cornstarch slurry. So I'd do a little water and cornstarch and put it in there and cook it and just basically watch it till it kind of got to what I thought the thickness needed to be. And so that's how I would thicken it. And so, and I just realized by eliminating the coconut milk, man, I'm not missing any of the flavor. And so, I need the sweetness. So I add just a little bit of maple syrup because I love a lot of the sweet with the heat sometimes, you know? and it just really balanced out. And it turned out to be a super easy dish, loaded with protein, and just very low in fat. And it's become it's one of the more popular recipes on the site, because people are like, man, make this in 15 minutes. And I was like, that's the whole point.
Yeah. I know that when we do, Indian, Thai, and we want that coconut, we use some coconut extract.
Yes.
Usually with some oat milk, and that kind of does it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's oh, look at that. There it is. Yeah,
yes.
yeah, baby.
Yeah, baby.
So let's talk about breakfast for a second, because I know that you kind of got burned out on oatmeal and kind of like the sweet side of breakfast. And because of that, I mean, I know you've got, for example, like your eggy tofu patties that you say are eerily close to fried eggs. You got tofu bacon. You got your cheesy grits.
Yes.
So let's start by talking about that eggy tofu patties.
Okay.
Those I looked at those, and those look really good.
Yeah, that's actually the newest recipe. So I was up to about 3 this morning editing the photos. It was, so I love savory breakfast. Always have.
Mm-hmm.
Love a savory breakfast. And, but again, didn't want to buy fake meats, didn't want to buy processed foods and things like that. And, so, started looking at, basically the first savory thing I created was, the plant-based sausage patties that are just oats and chia seed and flaxseed. And so that's what firms them up. So, and I realized that the meat is just a medium. It's the spices and things like that. So with the eggy tofu, it was kind of one of those last minute, because I was thinking, we were out working in the yard. We're in the middle of a home renovation, and that's why my kitchen is crappy. But we were out in the yard working a couple of weeks ago.
Is that where you broke your hand?
Yeah. Let's not go into that.
Okay. No need. Yeah.
Dumb man act. So, but yes, is where I broke my hand. So we were out in the yard working. I came in one day, and I didn't have much breakfast, and so it was real hot, and I was running down, and I was just kind of craving something, and I wanted a sandwich, and I had just made some cashew mayo, and I thought, man, I hadn't had an egg sandwich like in forever. Was just thinking about that, and we had some leftover tofu scramble, and I thought, that's the same thing. I basically just thought, what if I just slice the tofu and season it like I do the scramble, and then put it in the oven or the air fryer? And so I did, and I sprinkled it with a little black salt, just enough to kind of give it that smell and everything, and put it on with just a couple slices of Ezekiel bread and some of the cashew mayo. And I was telling my wife, I hate to say this, but for the sake of transparency, I ate 3 sandwiches and then was useless the rest of the afternoon, because I was like, oh my gosh, this is so good.
Yeah.
And but that's kind of how that came about. And tofu really does kind of have that eggy consistency, especially like silken, has like a boiled egg white, and so but I ended up not doing it so thin, because I like the thickness and the hardiness of it. But
and you said that the key to kind of getting that eggy flavor is that black salt, and to add it afterwards, not while you're cooking it.
Yes, because when I started cooking, like, I'll research things to death. So that's why I have so many pancake recipes, because it took me forever to make good plant-based pancakes. And I realized when I started making scrambles, and I would see they'd have black salt in them. One, the premix always had a lot of sodium in it, but I noticed it didn't taste like the black salt. So I started doing research, and it just says usually if you cook it, it cooks all the flavor out. Anytime we make a scramble, and you only need about 1/8 of a teaspoon, because it's so pungent. So yeah, I just say bake it, sprinkle it, and then go for it.
So you just mentioned it took you a while to figure out the perfect plant-based pancake. So, and I noticed, I mean, you've got chocolate pancakes, you got peanut butter pancakes, you got, carrot cake pancakes. I mean,
Matcha pancakes.
you've got, Bubba shrimp, pancakes. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So what is your key to a solid plant-based pancake?
Okay. So now let me back up. Let me say my first plant-based pancake were, I think I found them on the original Engine 2 site. They were blueberry pancakes with the spelt flour.
Spelt blueberry. Yeah.
Yes. And we used to make those, like, that was every Saturday. Every Saturday we were making blueberry pancakes. And so again, it was me going, oh, you can make pancakes without butter, but how do you do this? And I love dense pancakes. I love their filling, but there are days I like the fluffy pancakes, and then some days I like them more thin. And so, but essentially what I found out the trick is it was really simple. I was like, well, if I take a cup of flour and I take, like I would take some almond milk, mix vinegar to kind of make the buttermilk.
Yep.
And then basically baking powder. And when that vinegar acts with it, it was like, and then I realized if I let it sit and could be patient, it kind of poofs up a little bit. And so, yeah, I tried again, trying to keep things super simple. So I don't try to put a lot of ingredients in the pancakes. Now, like when I want to make like a real protein pancake, I'll go get my spelt flour and I'll grind my own oat flour and, and I'll do the mix and all this. But I just realized that I kind of look at the Shane and Simple website as an entry into whole food plant-based eating. And it's people it's where I was. So that's why you will see some of the higher fatty foods, like, it's all whole food plant-based, but don't go eat that every day. But if I can get people in the door just to kind of, recalibrate their thinking. But I have people message me all the time. I didn't think I'd have pancakes anymore. I can't believe how easy this is. And I don't need buttermilk and I don't need butter. And I'm like, no, you don't. And so, but yeah, I just realized that basically flour and water or milk with vinegar and some baking powder, and you can make some killer pancakes. So
yeah, you're off to the races. I actually made pancakes this morning for my daughters, and we gobbled them up, and it made me think of your pancakes, especially your stacks of pancakes, because you said how you had 3 of those eggy tofu patties, and then you were like worthless for the rest of the day. But those pancakes, you have stacks of 6 or 7. I mean, you don't mess around. Maybe that's just for the photography.
It's for photography, and there's some tricks in there, like making them look all nice and pretty, because we eat with our eyes. But Saturday mornings, I will say we usually eat breakfast a little later and more like a brunch. And the kids either love blueberry pancakes and want me to make blueberry compote to go over them, or just straight pancakes, and they like to put a little peanut butter on them. But Saturday is usually pancake day. So I will say my goal is I'm going to have 3 pancakes, and I give everybody time to eat. And if there's none left, I have no more. But if I come and there's one, I go, I can't leave it. I'm not just like.
So let's move on to potatoes.
Yes.
Because I know that you talk about how you've got a thing for potatoes, and I want you to know that I have a thing for potatoes. And you've got a lot of cool potato recipes on your site and on your Instagram channel, between mashed potatoes, between those little, when you slice them really thin and they look like
Hasselback potatoes.
Hasselback potatoes,
or
even just simple, which a lot of people have a hard time getting right, oven roasted potatoes.
Yes.
So like walk me through like one of your love affair recipes here.
I think there's 2 on there. Like, I love potatoes, period. Mashed potatoes.
Yep.
But, one of my heroes is Chad Sarno. And I was listening to him on your podcast, as a matter of fact, when he was talking about the best way to cook potatoes. And, but So two of my favorite recipes on there that we make a ton are the Cajun baked French fries and just those simple oil roasted potatoes. And I'll do it one of two ways because I know like I used to cook them where I just slice them and bake them. And I'm like, man, these suck. They're not, they're hard on the inside or they burn on the outside, that kind of thing. And then I remember listening to Chad, and I'd heard some other people talk about it, but boiling the potatoes first.
Yeah.
So what we'll do is a lot of times we'll buy a 10-pound bag of potatoes, and I'll just boil the whole bag and keep them whole, and then stick them in the fridge. And then when we're ready to cook, we'll either slice them into French fries or dice them into the potatoes. And then sometimes if I don't have any already sitting in the fridge, I'll go ahead and dice them like in the oven roasted potatoes and stick them in there and boil them for like 5 to 10 minutes, just until they get, and then drain them, hit them with cold water, and then throw them in the air fryer or toss them in seasonings. I think one of the things you, when you were on, you had a special on Netflix where you were kind of redoing people's kitchens.
Yeah.
And you did the hamburger and French fries for the couple.
Yes.
And so that's kind of, you can't recreate the wheel. And so it was just like, we'll hit it with a little veggie stock and toss whatever spices, garlic powder, onion powder, smoked paprika, and just throw them in and bake them. And, you got crispy French fries, and so we love doing that. And then sometimes we'll just bake a ton of them, throw them on the table on some parchment paper, and I'll make some of my cashew queso, and we'll do like cheese fry night where we just take them off the table. And so
yeah, that sounds awesome. So you mentioned cashew queso. What do you got in there? There are the potatoes.
Yes, just
roasted potatoes. Yeah.
Oh yes. That was one of my earliest recipes because I loved cheese dip. Yeah. And I was like, if I'm going to watch football, and like I said, I'm a huge football guy. I'm a football nerd. But again, just looking at other recipes and trying to, a lot of bloggers call themselves recipe developers. I'm like, we don't invent anything. We're adapters. Like we take things we've already seen and kind of put our spin on it. It's just basically a cup of cashews, some lemon juice, nutritional yeast, which is the greatest thing in the world. And, just a little bit of salt if you need it. And then we blend it up and then heat it. And then Rotel makes no salt added Rotel tomatoes now. So I'll put the juice in there and blend it up and then cook it with the tomatoes after. And that's the queso. So
I did not know Rotel now made a salt-free
yes.
version. That's great to know. Where do you get your nutritional yeast?
I have to order it now because I don't live near a Whole Foods here in Little Boonville, Mississippi. So I order it online. I go through Amazon. I found this company, I think it's out of California, called Anthony's. Everything's in a big brown bag, but I get all my flours and nutritional yeast there. But now I've even the little Walmart here has nutritional yeast in the canisters that you shake. So if I'm needing it back, and Walmart's got their own brand now too. And it's like $3 for a little canister, which is like $6 or $7 other brands. So sometimes if I'm hard up, I'll go clean the shelf off. And
well, everybody's getting into the vegan crack now, man. Nutritional yeast.
Vegan crack. I heard Jon Stewart say he puts it on his Rips Big Bowl or something like that.
Yeah, I was like, John, really? Ooh, that does
I can't go there. Yeah,
no, I can't go there either. Not for a second. What about carrot dogs? Because carrot dogs are something that it has to be done right. And if it's done right, it's like yes. And if it's not done right, it's like that really sucked.
It's like I just put a carrot on a bun.
Yeah. So what do you do to like make the Shane Martin approved carrot dog?
I love cooking them in the Instant Pot. A couple minutes with and it just gets everything in there quick.
I don't have an Instant Pot. What do I do?
Oh, okay. So I like to,
and don't tell Chef AJ I said that out loud. Or maybe we should, and she'll mail me one.
Yeah, there you go. I want to critique this product. We actually just bought our second one because we use them so much. But so if you don't have an Instant Pot, just peel the carrots, cut them to bun length, shape. I love shaping them like hot dogs. So I'll get in there and my wife's go, just cook them already. And I'm like, trying to be the artist, but so boil them until they're like fork tender, but not mushy. And then you drain them, hit them with some cold water, kind of like the potatoes to keep them to stop them from cooking. And then you put them in a big Ziploc bag, pour the marinade in there, let them marinate for an hour or so. But I tell everybody overnight is best. Just let it all soak up. And then they're already cooked, but I'll usually heat up a grill pan, nonstick grill pan, throw them on there with a little bit more of the marinade, or we'll take them out and put them on the grill. And it's crazy because my most ardent non-vegan, I will never not eat meat. I know 2 couples right now that every time we get together, before we left Charlotte, they would ask me to bring carrot dogs. They absolutely loved them.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
I mean, those look really.
Oh man. We love them. We absolutely love them.
All right. Let's, so we're moving into summertime.
Yes.
And summertime to me also means a fair amount of potlucks.
Yes.
Right? Now that we're moving through COVID the best we can, which means potato salads.
Yes.
Right. And in reading this one recipe, you're like, man, I can't even conceive of a potato salad without a mayonnaise dressing, but you've done it.
I've done it.
So talk to me about what we're doing here.
Yeah. Again, it's just me going, oh, wait a minute. All I got to do is replace this. So I already had a cashew mayo recipe and I'm like, I'll just replace it. Get the oil out, get the eggs out, and just went back and like mom used to make, except healthy and no cholesterol. And so I use my cashew mayo as a base, but I also tell people if you have a nut allergy, I have a tofu sour cream that works really well too. So you can use that as the dressing. And so I essentially just, again, boil the potatoes, and it's all the great things that are in potato salad, like celery and potato salads are really great because you can pretty much put what you want in there. And but then I'd use the cashew mayo to make the dressing and just pour it over and let it chill. And now that I will say, sometimes I will sprinkle with a little black salt to give it that eggy.
Yeah.
But again, it's one of those things that when we take it to people, they're like, they have a hard time believing that it's healthy.
Yeah. Like that's the pro move though, is putting on that black salt.
Oh yeah.
But I've got the different ingredients. I don't have the amounts, but the ingredients for your cashew mayo are cashews, spices, whatever those are, maple syrup, lemon juice, mustard vinegar, and then salt / black salt.
Yeah. There. Oh yeah. That's it.
Yep. Yeah. Who does your photography? Is that you or what?
That's me. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. If you go back to the beginning of the blog, I don't take those pictures down so people can go, because I'm not a photographer. I don't tell people I'm a guy who loves food, who learned to take pictures, but I was a creative. So I was like a guy, the first few pictures were taken with my iPad or a phone and had no backdrops or anything. And just really became a creative outlet for me, something I'd never done. And for me, I'm a pretty nostalgic person and love the mountains. We're mountain people. So when we were in Charlotte, we moved back to be closer to family, but we miss North Carolina, spent a ton of time in Asheville and Black Mountain and Boone. And so I take pictures, I tell people that reminds me of those places. And so I like to take pictures that kind of makes people feel like they're somewhere. And so that's kind of, I probably spend more time on them than I should, but yeah, I love the staging and everything like that.
Nice. So is this a passion project for you? I mean, do you have a day job, so to speak, or
the blog is my day job? So,
nice.
So, and I'm so glad you asked that question. Yeah, because I remember, I think when I got really passionate was when I saw how life-changing a plant-based lifestyle was, that I wasn't missing anything nutritionally, but when I saw the results of just getting healthy and my body healing itself and reversing a lot of these terrible conditions, you become passionate about, you commend things that you cherish and you become passionate and you just want to tell people about it. And when I first started the blog, I always told my wife, I said, I'm going to go work for Engine 2 one day. That's my dream job. I want to go work for Rip Esselstyn. And then I was like, I don't know how the hell to go work for Rip Esselstyn. So my wife said, why don't you just start a blog? And this was like back in 2013. And I'm like, 2014, the year after. And I was like, but I don't even know anything about that. And so the blog went through several different name changes, and I'm a perfectionist and I wanted it to look right. But it really started because people were asking me, like, family, I do what you do, I just don't know where to start. So the blog was sort of birthed out of just a passion to show people what I eat and talk about it, but also to give family and friends recipes. And so I guess officially it launched in 2017. And then in about a year and a half, towards the end of 2019, is when it became full time. And we tried to we started making it, got monetized and started to pick up some steam. And my wife and I, it wasn't quite where my full time income was, but she was working. She said, you're either going to keep this a hobby or it's going to be your passion and you're going to commit to it. And so we just jumped off, and it's been great. It's steadily growing, and we're able to live. And it's like every day we wake up going, oh, we made it another month. Like, but I absolutely love this. I take pictures of food and I cook, and I get to change lives with it. And I know that sounds kind of trite, but I mean, that is what pushes me, because I've seen the results myself. And so, yes, I would say it's a passion project, but I'm fortunate to get to do it for a living.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Good for you. Sometimes you just, you trust and you make that leap, and it's amazing how a net kind of, a net forms for you.
Yes.
Let's talk about some desserts.
Okay.
People love their desserts, and you've got a chocolate chia seed pudding that looks really good. What are the ingredients in that?
Man, okay.
If you can remember.
Yeah, chia seeds.
Chia, yeah.
I think it's unsweetened almond milk, a little maple syrup, and some
cacao
powder. Yeah, cacao, cocoa powder, and maybe a little vanilla.
Yeah.
Chia seeds they're kind of like nutritional yeast for me. They're amazing little things. It's like,
I use them actually on my cereal, but I don't use them to make a full-blown dessert or something like that. But you've inspired me with that one there. What about chocolate truffles? Because I know that you just use like 3 or 4 ingredients for those.
Yeah, that was I think that was created. A lot of times my recipes are created out of necessity. So we had a family gathering last year, and one of my aunts said, hey, we don't have anything you can eat, because they're still all on the, I call it the Southern American diet.
Good. That's good.
Where we use pork as a seasoning down here, that kind of thing. But they said, hey, can you, and they love it when I cook, but they were like, could you create some kind of chocolate thing, and I got an aunt that loves dark chocolate. So I thought, well, truffles, so I just kind of started scouring and trying different things. And it's essentially, it's one of the more decadent. It does use full fat coconut milk, but it's basically just some dark chocolate chips, vegan chocolate chips, and coconut milk, and maybe a little vanilla. And you cook it proportionally, or not really cook it, just heat the milk up and stir it and let it melt, and then chill it, and then scoop it into balls and chill it and sprinkle it with cacao.
Nice. And I know you've got a carrot cake that looks insane. You've got a apple banana oat muffin that you tout as being, one of the moistest in the Southern Hemisphere. What do you have a favorite dessert that you love to make?
Oh man. It would probably be the chocolate peanut butter pie.
Oh, say no more.
Yeah. It's like eating a big Reese's peanut butter cup.
And what do you use for the crust there?
It's it just like a lot of what I think I want to say it was inspired by the date nut fruit crust that I saw.
Right.
But I just realized when I saw that, it's like, oh man, I think it has a little bit of coconut, shredded, unsweetened coconut, but some dates and cashews and walnuts and almonds.
Yep.
And maybe a little vanilla. And I do put flax in crust sometimes just to kind of hold them together, but that's really it. And then the filling is like silken tofu and chocolate banana. I think I put bananas in. I'm not sure. Peanut butter, but it's no bake, so it's like a cold peanut butter pie. Like I don't make that one very often because that's one that I could,
do some danger.
It'd be dangerous to have in the house. But
yeah.
The carrot cake's great too. It's just I'm a lazy person, so I want things quick. And
what's your opinion these days of salads? Are you doing salads?
Yeah, it's funny. I'm not like when I go if my wife and I have a date night and we can find a plant friendly place to go, it's usually Thai or Indian, and that's we call indulgent, but we do eat a lot of salads around the house. So typically, like if I know I'm going to be a heavy workout day, I don't like to eat heavy through the day. I like to eat just enough to kind of keep my energy up. So I will, my breakfast, I'm not just saying this, is always a form of Rips Big Bowl in the morning, the cereal. And I just finished off 3 bags that I just got 2 weeks ago. So,
well, we'll have to send you some for coming on the show.
Oh man, I love but anyway, or I always keep oats, and I love to eat oats raw. So that's usually for breakfast, but salads generally, like I'll just do like a simple spinach salad through the day. I don't get super carried away. It's just enough to kind of keep me satiated somewhat, to feel like I'm putting something in my mouth. But
do you have a favorite dressing that you like to put on salads?
Yeah, I think it's just to have something on there. It's the 3-2-1. I mean, it's just, everybody has a version of that, but I think the first place I saw it was Engine 2, and it was like, I'll do that, and sometimes sprinkle squeeze a little bit of an orange into it to get that sweetness, or that, something like that. Sometimes it's just lemon, or I'll even squeeze an orange over the salad just to kind of get that, that sweetness. But
sometimes that's all you need. You just need a little citrus, that orange or that lemon, and then maybe do a little bit of a reamer on there as well, and you're golden.
Yeah, I try not to. I mean, honestly, there are times I just try to pack a salad bowl with as many peppers and things as I can get in them. And for me, sometimes the dressing gets in the way. Like I'll just kind of, you know what I'm saying? And so I'll just go dry on the salad. I mean,
so you're always creating and coming up with new stuff. Anything in particular you're like focusing in on right now that you're going to be creating?
Yeah, I keep a running list of things. That's the thing about being a blogger, a food blogger, especially now with the way the algorithms run. You kind of have to let your creativity go with, what's in season, and what's with things like that. And sometimes I just don't give a crap. I'm like, this is what I want to do, and because I always have a problem with authority. Like the one way to get me to do something is to tell me I can't do it. you know. Yeah. But I only have like one veggie burger recipe on the whole site, because kind of the way I operate is I have to test things over and over and over. And if it's not in my wheelhouse, it's like, I can't just put it out to go, hey, throw some beans in a bowl, mash it, and throw some flaxseed, that kind of thing. Like, I want to experiment with flavors and is it as healthy as I can make it, and then without sacrificing the flavor and things like that. So I have several different veggie burger recipes that I'm working on that I'm hoping to have out soon, just with all the cookouts coming up, and working on a tofu feta, I shouldn't be telling you this, but I'm going to tell you this: sweet potato biscuits. I've come in. Yes, I have.
Southern goodness.
Oh gosh, and they are so good. I've made them a couple times. There's still couple things I want to tweak, but those are in the works.
We'll keep that between me and you. We'll edit that out. Wink, wink.
Yes. Yes, I'm sure. So,
Shane, that's awesome. So, our time is right about up. So let me is there anything you want to say to the thousands of people that are listening to you right now? Any place they can go to, check out more of your goodness?
The best place to go is shaneandsimple.com. I try to answer every email that comes my way because I really do believe in this. And I really believe that one of the things that was crucial, and I tell everybody this, that I've tried to foster, whether it's the Facebook page, whether it's the website, and things have gotten so busy where I might be 3 weeks behind on responding to an email, but I do try, and sometimes things fall through the crack. But the thing that was crucial for us was finding community when we first started this journey of a plant-based diet. And because we're communal creatures. And so I try to foster that idea. That's why I tell people, go to the website, message me. There's a Shane and Simple Facebook page, but there's also just a Shane and Simple group where people can join and dialogue. And so that would be my biggest encouragement, is find community, and, don't punish yourself when you fall off the bandwagon, and, be gracious to yourself and just realize, get up and do better the next day. But yeah, the website initially is the best place to go. And, but then as far as communicating with me and dialoguing and interacting, the Facebook is kind of where we do a lot of that. And, so you can go over, and I think the handle at the Facebook page is Shane and Simple Cooking there as well. So,
well, you've come a long way from a Mississippi meat eating boy, as you like to so fondly say, to who has gone plant-based.
I'm the weirdo in the family. I am. It was one of the reasons we moved back, is we are big on investing in our community. And as you know, Mississippi is a very unhealthy state. And so my wife and I are actually working right now to try to do something like Plant Pure did, where we're trying to get people in and open up our home, which is why we're ready for doing potlucks and hosting potlucks, and just really, because that's how change starts. And so we're ready to hit the ball rolling. That's why we want to get this crap done. But I'm going to say this before I get off this podcast, because, and I kind of said a little bit at the beginning, we've never met. I did a couple of blog posts for the Old Engine 2 site. They shared my story. And then I actually did an article on creating a plant-based family, because we had so many kids, still have so many kids. But Rip, you just need to know what an honor it is for me I feel like I need to be interviewing you. But I tell people, and then people that know me, I send them to Plant Strong now, but you are one of my biggest heroes. And to be here is just an honor, because it literally, seeing you on Forks Over Knives and following the website, watching your TED Talks, it saved my life. And I don't say that lightly. And it's why I do what I do now. It is why I have the blog, because you're out there doing it and you're vocal about it. And it just gave me the courage and the tools to do it. And so I just can't, I mean, when I reached out saying, hey, I'd love to be considered for guests on the podcast, I was like, I'm just like, I just ask things, and I can, if the answer's no, I'm where I was before I started. And when Carrie responded back, I ran to my wife. I said, you got to be kidding me. Are they hard up for guests or something? It's like, but man, I just, again.
Well, it's well deserved. It is well deserved. A big kale, yeah.
Kale, yeah, baby. Kale, yeah.
Shane Martin.
So,
well, listen, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for, giving the audience so many valuable tips and sharing all your great recipes. Everybody that's out there, go check it out and make some pancakes tomorrow morning for breakfast.
Make some pancakes. Thanks, Rip.
Yeah, you bet. All right. Hey, Shane, peace.
Yeah. Peace,
Repeat
brother.
after me. Peace, turn it around. Engine 2.
Engine 2.
Keep it plant strong.
Plant strong, baby.
ShaneandSimple.com is his food site with simple recipes that the whole family will adore. In fact, my family and I have made several of them recently, and they are definitely Esselstyn approved. We're going to be sure to link to the site on the episode page at PLANTSTRONGPodcast.com. Next week, stay tuned. We've got a special Father's Day edition of the Plant Strong Podcast with Essie. That's right, my father, Dr. Caldwell B. Esselstyn Jr., makes a long-awaited return visit. Until then, just like Shane likes to say, keep it simple, and as I like to say, definitely keep it plant strong. The Plant Strong podcast team includes Carrie Barrett, Lori Kordowich, Amy Mackey, Patrick Gavin, and Wade Clark. This season is dedicated to all of those courageous truth seekers who weren't afraid to look through the lens with clear vision and hold firm to a higher truth. Most notably, my parents, Dr. Caldwell B. Esselstyn Jr. and Ann Cryle Esselstyn. Thanks for listening.